Okay, unless you're living under a rock somewhere, I'm sure you've seen videos of the devastating effects that Hurricane Harvey had in the Houston, Texas area here in the United States very recently. And the accompanying flooding that happened in, around, and after the hurricane really did a lot of damage and left a lot of people not only flooded out in their homes, but probably flooded out in their vehicles. I know that I've never lived through that, but here in Georgia where I live, probably 10 years ago or so, we had a pretty big, like 100-year flood here, and there were a few people lost their lives, and almost all of them, I think, were because their vehicles were flooded out and they were unable to escape from the vehicle, and for whatever reason they got caught. And that's a very common thing that happens in a flood situation, is people get trapped in a vehicle, get flooded away, and they can't get out. So today we're going to take a look at a knife from the Smith & Wesson First Response Series that could help you get out of a flooded vehicle, or anytime you need to get out of a trapped vehicle, or maybe help somebody else out. That's the Smith & Wesson SW911B. That's what's coming up next here on Survival on Purpose. Welcome back to Survival on Purpose, your home for information and gear reviews related to camping, survival, and general preparedness for regular folks. First of all, I want to, right off the bat, in no way do I want to take advantage of or try to sensationalize the tragic events that happened from Hurricane Harvey in Texas very recently. It is an absolute national disaster of very epic proportions. If you saw some of the videos, literally, you know, there are hundreds of miles of flooded. At least there were hundreds of miles of floods. You know, everything flooded out, and many people lost their life, lost everything they have, and it's just a horrible situation. And one of the prime ways that I think people do lose their lives a lot in floods is from being trapped in a vehicle. So I didn't even know the hurricane was coming when I requested this, but the folks at Smith & Wesson were kind enough to send me one of their first response knives here so I could show it to you. And I just picked this out of the catalog earlier this year. I thought with the recent events, it would be a really good time to take a look at this knife and talk about why you should have something like this with you in a vehicle. So first, let me tell you about the specs of this thing, and we'll take you down the old stump top and get to doing some of that rescue knife stuff in just a minute. 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to Survival on Purpose, your home for information and gear reviews related to camping, survival, and general preparedness for regular folks. My name is Brian. Thanks for joining me. So, the folks at Schrade, Smith & Wesson, BTI Tools, all the above, were kind enough to send me several knives, which I requested after looking through their catalog. This is the Smith & Wesson First Response SW911, or what is this thing anyway? SW911B from the First Response series of knives. And this is, as you can see, it's kind of a maybe emergency evac tool kind of thing, basically designed to cut your way out of seat belts or straps or whatever. It's got a glass breaker on it. We're going to take a look at those different features. First, we'll talk about the specs of this thing, tell you about the different, you know, blade lengths and all that stuff, and then we'll get down to the old stump top and get to doing a little bit of that knife stuff. I got some notes here on my handy dandy little sticky notes. Okay, so first of all, let's see if we can get this thing to focus here. There we go. So this knife features a 3.4 inch, or for those of you still stuck in that old metric system, 8.6 centimeter serrated recurved Tonto blade of 4034 stainless steel with a 4.8 inch handle of black nylon fiber, and has a safety lock on it so it's not going to come spraying open on you if you don't need it to. Also features a tip down pocket clip and a spring-loaded glass punch, which we're going to take a look at. Weighs just 5 ounces or 141 grams, and it costs about 40 bucks or so on the old intranet there. You notice I did not convert the handle length to metric. I'm going to guess it's somewhere around 10 centimeters if I had to, and that's just a wild guess because I don't think in metric. Sorry. But it is a liner lock design. I don't know if I mentioned that. And the liner does a pretty good job of engaging. I don't know if you can see that, but it engages pretty solidly. Altogether, basically, this is a knife designed that I would say keep in your car or whatever, keep with you. If you need to get somebody, including yourself, out of a car in a rescue type situation, this is kind of what this thing's designed for, and I think it could come in handy. It features the Schrade / Smith & Wesson Magic Assisted opening, which, as I've said over and over and over, in my opinion, blurs the line between the automatic and assisted opening, because it's kind of got a lever here that just kind of gets the thing moving, and once it gets moving, it takes over, and it is literally just slick as butter. So if you are in a situation where you need to use this for a rescue, you basically, and it's got a safety switch on it that is really easy to activate. So you just pull it back and click it and you're good. That can definitely come in handy, being able to open that very quickly. Show you a couple things before we get down to the old stump top that I like about this knife. I like it's got this big old curved serrated edge here. I think that's going to come in really handy for cutting seat belts and whatnot. Probably much more so than the little, recessed seat belt cutter that you see on a lot of knives, in my experience. But it's also got this kind of Tonto blade here, and this is just like a very straight, very sharp, about a 1 inch long straight blade there, so you could use really slicing stuff and doing some precise cuts. I gotta say, on this particular one I've got, the grind is, I don't know if you can see that, the grind's not really even. Here's one side and here's the other. So, but I don't really know that matters. It's all, and I think that's because it's almost a chisel grind. The serration is pretty much a chisel grind serration, like most of them, and I think they kind of just barely, touched up the back edge of this after doing this whole side here. Maybe, I'm guessing. I don't know what their manufacturing process is, but you'll see that it's also got a little bit of jimping here on the liner lock, and then it's got a little bit of jimping on back. The one thing that I was going to say that bugs me a little bit about this is the Magic Assist lever, which is right here. See that? When you push it, it kind of stays up. A few of the straight designs, that lever will push down out of the way, and this one it doesn't. But I think that's because there's just, you can see one of the pins for the knife right there kind of in the way. So, but again, you're not going to be using this for like whittling and carving, and that's not the purpose for this. So it's really not going to be in your way very much. I think these jimpings is just here in case your hands are wet or whatever. Who knows, maybe you're rescuing somebody or yourself from a submerged vehicle. Anyway, I think I've probably rambled enough. Let's take it down the old stump top and see if I can do at least a little bit of that rescue knife stuff. Okay, so here is the Smith & Wesson SW911B. We talked about the specs of this thing. Obviously, this is definitely not a bushcraft woods knife, not designed for that. We're not going to do woods bushcraft stuff with it because that would just be silly, and I am never ever silly. But what I thought we would do is, since it is designed as primarily a kind of a rescue style knife, I do have some seatbelt material here. I've got just standard seatbelt material. I always see just how good this thing does with the serrations here cutting. I think it's going to do pretty well because they're very recurved. And also, we'll take a look at this straight edge here first and just do just a straight up cut across and see just kind of this. I think this could be useful for like, yeah, so just doing it anytime you need to do a little precise cut for whatever reason. Maybe you need to cut somebody's pants out of the way or something. I don't know. It's got enough of a, it's got enough of a point on it. You could probably get a splinter out with that sucker pretty good. So, but let's just see how well it does on the seatbelt material. Not bad there. It's kind of hard to do this because I'm trying to hold it without cutting myself. We could put it behind there, just pull it across. So it does pretty good there. Let's try one more time. So it actually does fine. You'd be able to cut a seatbelt pretty well with that. It's got a nice edge on it. So, but in my opinion, that works a lot better than the some of them you see have the little cutout here or whatever with the blade in. I just have not had a lot of success with those. So let's lock this thing and let's get over to doing something I think might be a little more fun to play with anyway. So I could not find anybody that would let me break their windshield. So I got a piece of tile here. I know this is not a windshield. I know it's not even close to a windshield as far as safety glassing goes, but it's the best I can do under the current circumstances. So let me explain to you how this little glass break works. So this is its standard configuration. If you want to just for carry or whatever, if you want to use this thing to break glass, it's got a spring in it right here. What you do is you raise that back there. There's a slot right here. Okay, you want to put this thing so it lines up with the slot so you can pull it back, and you can pull it all the way back down here to the bottom to that slot, There's another slot down here, see? You're going to pull it all the way back to that slot, and you got to, by golly, pull it too, because it's tight. And then push it over so it locks up in the slot. So now you've got it cocked. Cocked and locked, as they say. And in order to fire it, you're just going to push this over like that. So let's see if we can do it where you can see it. See how it works. So I think you just push it against the window like so. Let's just see what happens. Okay, so we got a little chip here, but did not break. Let's try again. Maybe you don't just push it against the window. Maybe you pull it back just a little bit. Let's try pushing it back just a little bit. Well, I missed. Let's try again. Okay, I think I let it up. I think that's probably me. I'm probably flinching, as they say. Or it doesn't have anywhere to give because I've got it pressed down. So we'll try one more thing. Oh man, by golly, it's got a spring in it. I know, I tell you that. Ow! Oh, it hurt my finger. Okay, so maybe we need to kind of give this thing a little room like a real glass would have, because this real glass is going to have a little room behind it to give. So let's try it now. Ready? Negative. Okay. Well, some tough tile. Let's stand it up. See if it'll break. Not doing it. What about this way? It works like that. So anyway, to restore it, you just put it here and tip it back and it's in. So okay, well, that was a quick look at the Smith & Wesson SW911B. I think that stands for black. Maybe they have a different color one also. I gotta say, I like the knife itself. I like the Magic Assist. The blade is pretty stiff there. Does a good job on cutting like seatbelt stuff. This straight flat Tonto blade, I kind of like it. Gives you a little more versatility. I do think it could possibly create a hazard if you're trying to cut another person out of a seatbelt, because that's just really pokey. And then the glass breaker, I don't even know if the test that I did was a legitimate test. And this thing might break a window just fine. I know I've seen videos of windows being broken, and the key to breaking a car window is to not hit it in the middle. It's to hit it around the perimeter on the edge where it doesn't have room to give, because if you hit it in the middle, it's got enough flex where it absorbs the blow. But if you hit it right up against the side and the edge, then it doesn't have any flex, and it typically will shatter. I don't know if this thing, the spring-loaded function on this, will work or not for that. I really have no experience using these things with the spring-loaded. I may try a couple of other ones to see. I know I've seen them before. All I know is this one did not break that. Man, this is a recipe for disaster for me right now, trying to cock this thing. So we're going to leave it alone. I am done playing with this stupid glass breaker on this thing. I've hurt my hand again. Anyway, if you just want to crash the glass with it, it'll probably work just fine. The spring thing, I cannot vouch for that. If you have a car window that you would like to donate to my cause, you want to drive down here to Douglasville, Georgia, and let me try it on your window, I will be happy to do that, and we will film it. But other than that, I got to give this one like about a medium range, because the if this spring stuff isn't effective, then it seems like a whole lot of effort for nothing, because it is a really stiff spring when you can just pop it with your your hammer blow or whatever, like just pop it and break it. I guess the goal is supposed to keep you from slamming your hand into a broken glass. Either way, the blade works really well. I like the Magic Assist, I do. Again, this thing's around 40 bucks on the old internet, so certainly this will cut a seatbelt really well. And I think if you just smash it with your hand, it would probably break a window as good as anything else, any of the other glass breakers out there. Don't know about the spring thing. I don't know if you're going to have time to fool with all that mess anyway. If you're in a submerged vehicle, especially, and you're trying to fight all this, I don't know about all those things. I would probably just pop the thing out and whack it. But that's just me. If you pop it out right here, let it go down, then it's locked open, then you can just crash away at your window, and you're probably going to be a whole lot better than trying to fiddle with this silly spring thing when you're, you know, trying to keep from drowning, right? So I do think though, if it's just a good idea to have a tool like this, if not this one, something like this in your vehicle, that you can at least cut your seatbelt and break glass. Those are the two things that you're going to need to do maybe to get out of a submerged vehicle, you know, and you may not even be in an area that's prone to flooding. I mean, we're not here where I live in Georgia. It's just not, but like I said, about 10 years ago, 3 or 4 people in my county lost their life from flooded vehicles because there was flash floods, and it was really a once in a century event, but you never know when it's going to happen, right? And it's just, or if you just crashed in a vehicle and your doors are jammed or whatever, and you can't, you know, everybody's got power windows now. You can't roll them down manually. So if something happens, you can't roll your windows down. You got to get out of your vehicle. It's good to have some kind of tool like this to allow you to do that. So anyway, once again, thanks to the folks at Schrade, Smith & Wesson, and BTI Tools for sending me this so I can show it to you. As always, thank you for watching Survival on Purpose. Check out another video right here. If you're not subscribed, please click right down here and do so. I'd really appreciate it. Once again, my name's Brian. You're watching Survival on Purpose. Remember, survival's not an accident, so be prepared. I'll see you next time.